a review of a 15-inch MacBook Pro Retina. In this first part of my review, I would like to focus on some of the features Apple say is great about this computer, or amazing as they say. First one up is the new fan they've put in. They've put in a fan with asymmetrical blades, with the point of having a more silent fan operation from the computer. And if any one of you out there have owned a Mac before, you will definitely notice this fan is a lot quieter. I generally don't hear the fan when I do video editing or Photoshop. First, when I start playing games, I distinctively hear the fan. And when the fan spins up to full speed, it's not a scream like it's been from the previous fans in these computers. It is more of a whisper like the wind blows from out of the computer, and it seems a lot more quiet. Then, of course, the biggest feature of the Retina MacBook Pro is the Retina display. A 1800 pixel height and a 2880 pixel width. And I have mine set up so that it simulates a 1200 pixel height and a 1920 pixel width. And that gives a lot of capacity on the screen. And beyond the capacity that you have for your open windows, the quality of everything is exceptional. Everything looks crystal clear. And I have never in my life so far seen a display with this great quality. To return to a problem that any previous Mac owner will also know is the battery times. Apple is very good at telling us about battery times that are way above what they can achieve. But I would say with the MacBook Pro Retina they actually are closer to what's possible than I have ever experienced with any of my Macs. They claim for this computer that it is up to 7 hours, and generally in my day I get around 5 hours out of it. I have bought here the base model of the MacBook Pro Retina with a 2.4 GHz Intel Core i7 processor that turbo boosts all the way up to 3.4 GHz. It has 8 GB of DDR3 memory, 256 GB of solid-state storage, and a 1 GB GeForce 650 mobile. And as an extra, it has an Intel HD 4000 with 512 megabytes of shared memory for graphics. And it switches between these graphics cards depending on what you need. We'll get back to that in a little moment when we take this computer out and play some games on it. But first, let's get all the other boring stuff out of the way. What kind of connectors does a MacBook Pro have? Let's start here with the right side. We have one USB 3.0 port, an HDMI port, finally, that's great, and a card reader. And if we then flip it over to the left side, we have, of course, the new MagSafe 2. We have two Thunderbolt ports, and we have another USB 3.0 port, and then we have the headset port here. You to get this computer into the real world of gaming, so let's go. I have Formula 1 2012, sorry, up and running here. And while it launches, I should probably mention that I have a Logitech gamepad here. I think it's a, what's this? It's a gamepad F710 that I've been using to play some of these games with. I'm just gonna turn down the volume here so you can hear when the fan kicks in. Since this is one of the games where the fan kicks in a little. There we go. And I'm just going to take a quick race for Red Bull here. That's fine. And we'll take a track that I'm pretty good at. We'll take Bahrain. There we go. It's taking a few moments to load the game here. Alright then, it seems we're about to have a go. I've just set it up for a quick race here so you can see what's going on, and we'll just need to talk to our engineer here. We'll run on option tires, thank you. And let's get to the track. And while it loads the rest of the track, apparently, I can just mention that you can buy this game on the Mac App Store. And of course, if any one of you have been in the Mac world for a few years, you will know that games is not necessarily the biggest thing in the Mac world, but they are finally arriving, and as I think I'm showcasing here, the computers are finally starting to pick up and be able to play a few games, which I think is exceptionally great. So I'm just going to run one lap through here so you can see how this thing performs. See if we can overtake a few here. Now, I should point out that it's not very long ago I started to play this game, so I'm not very good at it yet. I'm going to get a penalty here soon. Whoops. Well, that's what I said. I just started playing this a few days ago, so I'm just still learning. And I'm sitting a little awkward for the computer as well. But this gives me a chance to demonstrate that even though there's a lot of cars on track, I don't really have a problem rendering it on the computer. And which of course reminds me that I completely forgot to show you what graphics I'm running on. We'll take that when this lap is complete. Well, I could smash the front wing. Oh, well, that's going to give me a penalty. Bugger. Well, I hope you got the idea here of this game is very capable on this machine, because I don't think without a front wing that I'm going to be able to race much, to be honest. I can already feel that it's not turning as it should. Well, I think we'll just quit to the main menu here. I hope you got the idea. I'm running this at the resolution of 1440 by 900. I have found out that this is the best resolution for most of the games, since I can then turn up the graphics settings a little bit higher. And if we go down here, we have most of the settings on medium or high. That is roughly the general thing with this Mac. Medium to high graphics is what you should be able to expect, though this game is more to the high than to the medium. But that functions fine. Alright, but that's not the only game we have. I have another game for you. We have Mafia 2, which I'm going to launch now. And this is also available on the Mac App Store, and I also play this with my joypad. And now I've also just started playing this game on my Mac, so I'm not very far along in the history here. There we go. And in this game I have experienced every once in a while it thinks that the Intel HD 4000 graphics is enough, and then it switches over to the NVIDIA graphics when it figures out that it isn't. And that will showcase a little lag every once in a while, but it's mostly in the first 10-20 seconds when it figures it out. So let's go. Now, we're actually lucky that we're in the winter here, because then it actually gets to showcase that it is actually running this okay with the winter effects and snowing on. I don't know if you can see that on the camera very well. You should. It's a high-def camera. There we go. See a little lag. It thinks for a short while that the Intel graphics is enough, and then figures out, no, I need to use the NVIDIA. In the settings, system preferences on this computer, you can change the settings so that it'll disable the HD 4000 completely if you only need to run this computer for heavy tasks, because it will take about an hour and a half away from the battery. So you will shorten the battery life noticeably if you disable the Intel graphics. And I would say this is the only game that I've experienced a little lag in. There we go. I'll just enter this cafe and enter the cutscene, and then I think you get the point of this game. Just go here and order coffee, perhaps, or maybe an old beer, or beer. There we go. It generally performs very well. I wouldn't call this a gaming computer, but it's definitely good for a few games if you're on the go. So now we have showcased a bit of what this computer can do and what it has inside it. So what is my verdict? First of all, let's talk about the power in this machine. It has a quad-core processor, and I have been doing some iMovie projects on this computer, and while the iMovie projects have been exporting in 1080p in the background, I have been able to use other applications without any problems at all. This computer, thanks to the 8 GB of memory, a solid-state hard drive, and a quad-core processor, it feels like it's ready to do anything you ask of it, and I haven't really experienced that the computer slows down due to any task I give it. This is a true multitasking monster. This display, the fact that you can display that much information on just one 15-inch notebook, that is incredible. You can have tons of things open on this computer, and if you're used to working with a lot of palettes in Photoshop, you really have a lot of room too. In any application you use, there is enormous amounts of space. And if you think everything gets too small, you can just enlarge it. There is several logical resolutions on this computer. Then of course, even though this has that much power and this much room on the display, it still only weighs 2 kilos and is still very portable. There is one last thing that I would like to mention about this computer. Because when this computer was released in June last year, there was a big row on the internet about this display because it had ghosting issues. Now, I was very worried purchasing one of these computers because I was worried that just because I've been working in Word for 2 minutes, I would have a white piece of paper on my computer. But I do have been running some live timing for Formula 1. I'm a big Formula 1 fan. And I have been running their live timing on this computer for an entire race, which was about 2 hours on their website. And when I closed it, I turned on some, I switched to some natural backgrounds, white, gray, black. I couldn't see any ghosts of anything at all. So all around for this computer, power, portability, build quality, everything that you can mention about this computer, I don't have anywhere where I miss anything about this machine or anything that I have to complain about. This is by far the best computer that I have ever had. And so on my scale from 1 to 6, this gets a 6. This is the computer to buy if you want a Mac, period.